Yes, sir, we can get started.
All right, thank you. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Welcome to today's session on GSTR9 and 9C filing through GSTZen. My name is Venugopal. I'm a practicing chartered accountant. I've been in practice since 2002. So over 2 decades, I've been in the area of various indirect taxes in terms of filing, automation, compliance, litigation. After GST, I've been actively involved in terms of writing content for various industries, publishing handbooks. I've also been part of e-invoice schema design with GST and NIC. With this little background, I would like to start the session by thanking you all for being here in today's session. Just to brief you about GSTZen, the host of today's session, GSTZen is an ASP and a GSP, which means they facilitate filing of returns. And when I say filing of returns, what is commonly used, commonly required for a regular return preparer is GSTR1, GSTR3B, GSTR9 and 9C. Most of the users of GSTZen are happy with the reconciliation reports. We as a financial professionals, we always look at a data in Excel. All these reconciliations report, which is books versus 2A or 2B, GSTR1 versus 2 versus 3B, there is a consolidated report. The most favorable report of the users is GSTR1, 2A, 3B consolidated report, which is compared with various forms. Like GSTR1 is compared with the books, 2A is compared with books, and 3B is compared with 1 and 2A. So multi-level reconciliation is there. This is called as consolidated report, which is most popularly used report. In fact, this report has been appreciated by many professionals better than any report given by any ASP software. Then there are organizations which have multiple PANs, multiple GST numbers across the thing. A CFO level dashboard where there is a PAN level report. There's an e-waybill reconciliation report. Then a quick information. There are other tools that are available where you can know. Let's say you're a chartered accountant practicing and you want to know on 10th whether all the returns have been filed. There's something called an autopilot. On a click of a button, you will get hang of all the information. The most popular tool of GSTZen was also JSON to Excel. So today the GSTN portal is giving Excel data, but quite some time back, it is only an JSON files. So JSON to Excel converter was the most popularly used tool of GSTZen. Even today, when you just search it, GSTZen ranks first. Then there are GST and HSN validators. You have a utility to offset the tax liabilities and assess, is there a better way of you optimization and by filing the taxes? E-invoice is a good feature which can be integrated to your ERPs. This is very brief about GSTZen. There are around 30,000 users, and you will find from mom and pop stores to listed companies who are using an ERPs like Tally or their own proprietary ERPs or an SAP. So these are the customers of GSTZen, you will find it, right? So this is a little brief about myself and about GSTZen, who are the hosts of today's session. Today's session is about GSTR9. Basic information of GSTR9. What are the key validations that you have to do before filing? We have only a couple of days in filing. How you can use GSTZen software to simplify the filing of R9 and 9C. Along with me, our colleagues Srivatsa, Bharati, and Manisha are there to assist you in this session, right? Bharati is going to handle the demo of how we use GSTZen. I'm going to do the live part of it. At the start of the session, a usual question which I ask so that we are online. So my video and my audio? If it is clear, just put it as yes in the chat box, please. Perfect. So quite a good response. It makes people be attentive. Couple of requests just to ensure that the session is not disturbed. All of you have been muted. You can put your question in the chat. I'll take the question at the appropriate time. At the end, we'll also have an option to unmute yourself and ask the question. Most importantly, when you are writing a question for me to answer, like there's someone hand raise happened, but it is showing as Samsung. It's like addressing people as Samsung 21103CA. It doesn't look good. You just rename yourself. You can just click on, select your three dots are there. Just select the third button, which is rename yourself. So I know whom I'm talking. You can put your name or your company name so that we can address. Feel free to ask any question. We are here to answer all your questions. It's 3:05. We will complete the session approximately around 4 o'clock. Yeah. This material will be available. The recording would be available. And this is on YouTube so that they can watch live also.
Yes, sir. This is live on YouTube.
Perfect. First and foremost, annual returns. We know GSTR9, which is what we are going to talk today, is every registered person has to file GSTR9. I'm not going to talk about other annual returns, which is by composition dealer and e-commerce operator. We are not going to discuss today. The annual return is not applicable for input service distributor, TDS, casual taxable person, and non-resident taxable person. Annual return is not applicable to them. The due date of filing the annual return as of now is 31st December 22. People ask, will this extend? Answer is no. In my view, no. I'm not authority to say, but going by the past trend, I don't think there will be an extension. What are the returns that I have to file? If your turnover is exceeding 2 crores, then you have to file your GSTR9. Up to 2 crores, it is optional. I'll not say you cannot file. It's optional. If you want to file, you can file. Otherwise, you don't need to file. Above 2 is GSTR9 mandatory, 9C is optional. Above 5, both GSTR9 and 9C has to be filed. What happens if you don't file? You have a penalty, late fees you will be paying every day. And how much? Up to what? 0.25% of CGST, 0.25% SGST. So 0.5% of the turnover can be your late fee. And what is this definition of turnover is? Definition of turnover is taxable supplies, exempt supplies, all put together. Let's say I'm dealing in, I have a petrol bunk and my turnover is say 10 crores, of which let's say only 1 lakh is taxable, rest 9 crore 99 lakhs is exempt, and the penalty is on the total turnover. So it is the turnover in the state. So better be careful that you file the returns on time. Now, there are two returns which I said, 9 and 9C. What is the primary difference between both these returns? Understanding this context is very important. Once you know what it is, then it's pretty easy. When you have to file the returns, it is pretty easy. You can easily file the returns. Let me explain you what is the primary difference between GSTR9 and 9C. I would say GSTR9, we call it a statement of fact. GSTR9 is statement of fact. What is that you have done is what you will report in GSTR9. While GSTR9C is what is that you should be doing it. What you have done is 9, what you should be doing is 9C. Aren't they both the one and the same? Unfortunately, there could be situations where we will tend to make mistakes and we'll correct it later. For example, I have made a sale of 1 crore rupees, but I have paid the tax only for 90 lakh rupees. What I will be disclosing in GSTR9 is 90 lakhs, but what I disclose in GSTR9C is 1 crore. If I have availed exemptions of 25 lakhs, I'll be putting 25 lakhs exemptions in 9. But I'll be checking whether they are really exempt. If they're not exempt, then I'll not be showing as exempt in 9C. If I have a tax liability out of 1 crore, I make a sale. Let's say tax liability is 18 lakhs. I have paid only 10 lakhs. I would be disclosing only the taxes that I have paid here in my GSTR9. While I have a liability to pay 18 lakhs, I would be disclosing the tax that is payable in GSTR9C. Let's say the turnover which is there is correct 1 crore, but I have discharged the tax at the rate of 12%, while it is 18%. So if I have made any mistakes and I have paid at 12%, my GSTR9 would be at 12%, while GSTR9C would be at 18%. Hope you are getting the context. If I have availed any credit, I will be reporting gross and the net credit I have availed. But what I have to check is whether it is there in my GSTR2A, 2B, and the books of accounts. Even though it is there in the books of account, is this an eligible credit or not is what I'll have to check. So please understand the context between 9 and 9C are two different things. 9 is the statement of the fact what you have done. I would say GSTR9 is the last option to make corrections if you have anything to be corrected. What are the things I can correct? I have short paid the taxes, now paid through DRC03. I have availed an ineligible credit, now reverse it through DRC03. But what you will be reporting it is only if you have reversed, then only it comes to GSTR9. If you have not reversed, if you have not paid the taxes, it will not be coming to GSTR9. Hope, is this clear? Any questions at this point to anyone? All right. Let's look at the way in which the forms have been designed. You should also now know, given that this is the form you have to file, how you have to file, what data you have to file. GSTR9 is divided into 6 parts, beautifully drafted form. Part 1 deals with the basic information. Part 2 talks about your liability. Liability on account of outward supply, liability on account of inward supply, both, all the liabilities that you have to pay. It's a turnover and liability divided into 2 tables, table 4 and 5. Table 4 talks about the turnover on which there is a transactions on which there is a tax liability. Table 5 is transactions on which there is no liability. So you're going to split the turnover into 2 parts. Where there is a liability, it will be in 4. Where there is no liability, it will be into 5. After part 2, it is part 3, input tax credit, table 6, 7, 8. The ITC that you have availed during the year. Let's say I have purchased a Benz car. ITC is ineligible, but still I have availed it. Whether right or wrong, having availed it, I shall be reporting it in my table 6. And those credits, if I have reversed, in GSTR3B, table 4A, I will avail, and 4B, I will reverse. The availed value which is there in 4A is reported in table 6. Reversed values which are there in subsequently reversed is reported in table 7. Table 8 is reconciliation with 2A. After turnover, liability, and input tax credit, the obvious thing one should be knowing is the tax payable and paid, how it has been paid. That's your part 4, table 9. Ideally, the R9 form should have been completed at this point, but we also know we cannot correct any mistakes. So if you have made any error and how do you correct, we have been given circular 26/26/2017, wherein they said, if you have short paid the taxes, pay it in next month. If you have excess paid, adjust in next month. If you have short availed the ITC, avail it in next month. If you have excess availed, reverse it in next month. So this next month could have carried forward to the next financial year. So your 21-22 transactions, it would have been adjusted in the financial year 22-23. So because there is a spillover of the transactions from 21-22 to 22-23, you will disclose that information in part 5. So basically, in consolidation of part 2 to part 5 is your annual returns or the summary for that year. Ideally, the form should have got by this point, but government want additional information. They have given part 6 to capture the additional information. Okay. Now, while this is on 9, there's another draft, another form which is 9C. Again, good, neatly drafted form, and conceptually is well thought and drafted form. Given that 9C expectation is what is the right values, what is the right thing I have to do. It is divided into 5 parts. Part 1 is the basic information. Part 2 is the reconciliation of your turnover. How do I reconcile turnover? I would do a reconciliation. What should be my gross turnover? I will be reconciling and reporting it in table 5. If that is my gross turnover that I have reported in GSTR9 also, which is table 4 and 5. So well and good. Otherwise, I'll give an explanation in table 6. What is more important is taxable turnover. Is the turnover that has been fully disclosed, have the taxes have been paid or not? So the taxable turnover is computed and given in table number 7. If there is any difference in the turnover that I have declared with whatever is declared in GSTR9, the explanation given is given in table number 8. Once the turnover is been disclosed and computed, as I said, the taxes could have been wrongly paid. I will compute this taxable turnover at what rate it has to be paid. The rate of tax is given in table 9. If it is good, perfectly fine. If there is a difference in the taxable turnover that has been disclosed versus the tax liability that has to be paid, the difference is explained in table number 10. 5 is your gross turnover, the difference explained in table 6. Owing to all these tables, if you have any liability that is coming, this liability, it is discharged in table number 11. This is the first segment of GSTR9C covering part 2 and part 3. Let's move on to part 4, which is input tax credit. As I said, input tax credit, you have to see whether it is available in the books or not. That is dealt in table 12. If it is matching with the books and the credit that you have claimed, well and good, else you give an explanation in table number 13. But what is more important is the credit that you have availed is eligible or not. Expenditure wise reporting is done in table 14. If there is any difference between the eligible credit and credit actually availed, is explained in table number 15. Owing to this table, if there are any liability that is arising on input tax credit is captured in table 16. So both the table 11 and table 16, the summary of it is the additional liability that we discharge in part 5. This is about GSTR-9C. Hope you have a clarity on what are the forms and what needs to be reported between 9 and 9C. Any questions to the participants at this point? Okay, let's move on. What is the information that you need for filing GSTR9? The primary source of information to file GSTR9 is your GSTR3B, GSTR1, your books of accounts, and GSTR2B. This is your primary information. Apart from that, you need to have a visibility of 3B of next year, GSTR9 of the previous year, DRC03 payments during the year. Then the notices received from the department, the refunds that you have claimed, etc. On top of all this, I would always say that you need to have a good filing software like GSTZen, which will help you to consolidate the information, which will help you to exactly see what is the information that you need to furnish and simplify the filing process. You don't need to have the hassle of the GSTN portal, that Excel enabling macros, trying to work it, all those things. The beauty of GSTZen, it is a seamless interface. You don't need to go to GSTN portal. Everything can be done on the GSTZen portal. And next, you will also have a validation utility. There is a data validation to see whether the data is correct or not. So let's get on in terms of what is the turnover I have to report. If you have any questions, please put your questions in the chat. I'll take those questions appropriately as and when it comes. What should be the turnover I should report? Reporting in turnover GSTR9 is into two tables, table 4 and table 5. First and foremost, you should understand there's a difference between the turnover which is there in the books of accounts, because I use AS9 revenue recognition or AS7 some construction industries. Income tax ICDS I use. But when it comes to GST, I have to pay GST basis my time of supply, which is defined in section 1231, 1213 and read with section 31. So I will have a differences between the turnover which is in the books and the turnover that I have to report. Create an adjustment. The first and foremost thing, create an adjustment reporting information in this format. So get your turnover the way you have to report. Once you identify the turnover, split into different categories, table 4 and 5. Table 4 is a detailed reporting of the taxable turnover, like 4A, if you made a supply to unregistered person, 4B, supply to registered person, 4C, exports with pay, 4D, SEZ with pay. 4E is deemed exports. This is the supply, 4A to 4E. You also have a liability to pay taxes on advances, 4F. And if you have paid an advance and which is there of last year, you can adjust here. Not just the liability also is there in your 4G, which is reverse charge liability. Even the reverse charge liability, you need to discharge GST. So even that is captured in table number 4. So this portion is your taxable supply, which is there in the P&L account of the books of accounts. This is an advance which you will find it in the balance sheet side. This is the item which you will find on the expenditure side. So your income is GST income is captured in the multiple places, multiple things. From this year, government also wants you to report the adjustments. If you have issued a credit note till last year, this my turnover could have been reported on a net basis, but now the expectation is to report the turnover on the gross basis. This is on table 4, while table 5 is on the transactions where there is no tax liability. That is zero rated supplies. Could be exports, could be SEZ supplies without payment of tax. Under an LUT, I make a supply. Or I'm making outward supplies while the recipient is to pay the tax under reverse charge. So for me, it is there is no liability. Or it could be nil, exempt and non-GST supplies. So this is on table 4 and table 5. The total turnover that I'll be reporting is taxable is there in my 4N, exempt is 5M. So before you file your GST return, please look at the values that are there in this and then you file the return. So how do I freeze my turnover? From where do I get my turnover? Your turnover is all over in the financial statements. Like I said, credit side of the P&L, debit side, if you would have offset your liability, like I claim a travel reimbursement on account of doing audits. Even that is supply. Even though I adjust that under my expenditure head, everything has to be included for the purpose of GST. Then it could be on the asset side, balance sheet. I have received, they sold my assets. The sale of asset in the P&L, I'll only have either profit or loss on sale of asset. But what is applicable for the purpose of GST is the gross value on the sale of the asset. All right. Then sometimes the turnover is outside the financial statements, that is your schedule 1 transaction. If you are doing a stock transfer from one branch to other branch, even though that is not a revenue for the PAN level income tax or the books of accounts, but for GST, that's a supply. So the way you will be doing it, you will look at all items that are there in the P&L and prepare a total turnover. Once you prepare the turnover, you will have to create a multiple reports. This is where GSTZen will be of handy. It will help you to prepare all these reports. What is the report? Firstly, how much is there in the books? How much is there in GSTR1? How much is there in 3B? This is a classic question that I get. The turnover which is there in the books of accounts is not matching with GSTR1, not matching with the 3B. What do I now report in GSTR9? So you have an ability to reconcile, and the GSTZen will say that this is what you have to report. And after identifying the turnover, you have to segregate between how much is IGST, CGST, SGST. This you should say at each rate wise. This you should say each transaction type. This you should say each party wise. And these are the multi-level reconciliations and reporting requirement in GSTR9. So the first hurdle that you get it is, you know that yes, I made a turnover of 1 crore, but this 1 crore has to be reported in multi-ways. Doing a reporting in this multi-ways is challenging. This is what GSTZen will simplify. Next, please also check with the other information source, the IT returns, the bank credit 26A statement, to ensure that the values that you are reporting is correct. So your books turnover April to March, you divide it into each GSTN wise and do the reporting of it. Any issues which you have to discuss on the outward side before I move on to ITC reporting? Any questions to anyone? I have completed my outward related. Any questions before we move on to ITC?
Sir, there are a few questions in the chat.
Yeah, and also on YouTube, if you have questions, you can take it here. We will take
Sure,
that.
sir.
Yeah, so one question from Ramsikan. Earlier, SSC had filed URD sale in 3B without GST. Afterward, they have paid GST liability through DRC03. So now in GSTR9, should we show it payable in table 4 and add the GST paid in table 9? Or show it as payable in R9, give reconciliation 9C liability that we have paid through DRC03? Ram Kisan, if the DRC03 is paid, please note, if the DRC03 is paid, you have to find the reasons for payment. It could be 73 voluntary, 74, 75, or annual return, or 9C reconciliation statement. You'll give the reasons. If the reason is annual return, you will report it in GSTR9 table 4. If it is any other reason, you will report it in your GSTR9C. It will be coming in table 11. It will not be coming in part 5 as additional liability, since the liability has been already been discharged. Tasneem question on ITC. In a while, I'll answer that. Amarjit, I'm a quarterly filer. Can I file annual return? Amarjit, yes. Even though you are opting QRMP scheme, you should, if your turnover is crossing 2 crores. Else, you have an option not to file. In my personal view, everyone should file because this is the last option to correct it. All right. Now, having looked at issues, let us move to reporting of ITC. How do I do the ITC reporting? Firstly, ITC reporting is done in GSTR9 table 6, 7, and 8. Like how I do in my 3B, the table 6, if I have to say this is my table 4A and my reversal is my 4B and net ITC is computed in 7J. Then there is a reconciliation with 2A. These are the multi-level reconciliations that are required. What I report in GSTR9 is the credit that I have actually availed. Could be through 3B or could be through ITC or could be through trans returns. Basis that I will be reporting my turnover, my input tax credit. What do I check before I file the return is look at 7J value. This is the net ITC that you have availed. This will match with table 9, whatever is the tax paid, and it will also match with my closing balance in my electronic credit ledger. Ideally, you have to do this reconciliation and see whether if I'm making any erroneous entries in my GSTR9. In a simple way, people always ask this question: what is the ITC should match with, 2A or 2B? See, ITC is always to be matched with GSTR2A. ITC should always be matched with GSTR2A. Now, please don't think that I am suddenly making some stupid statement. See, GSTR2A talks about the credit for that period. 2B talks about credit that you are eligible to take in that period. The credit that you are eligible to take in that period. Now, if GSTR2A is a dynamic statement, it keeps changing. GSTR2B is a static information which says this is the credit that you are eligible for this month. This is the credit that you are eligible for this month. GSTR2B is like your cash flow statement, which will never change. Like your bank account. GSTR2A is like your P&L account, basis. You raise the sales invoice, profit will go up. You have the more work in progress closing stock, profit will go up. You got a purchase bill, you booked it, the profit will come down. Now, 2A is the actual accrual concept. 2B is the cash flow. Even though I have raised an invoice, I have not received the money. That's what like 2B says, right? So you have to reconcile your purchases with the 2A. That is why GSTR-8A, like Tasnim, this is answering your question. GSTR-8A is always matching with GSTR-2A. GSTR-8A is matching with 2A. So if my 2A is equal to 8A, if my 2A is equal to 8A, then I am not availing all the credits of 2A. I am not availing all the credits of 2A in this one because supplier has filed late. If the supplier has filed the credit in time, I would have availed the credit in my GSTR-3B in the same year. If he has filed the credit in time, I would have availed in my GSTR-3B in the same year. So I will be reporting in 8B. If he has filed late, my credit is availed in the subsequent period. So I'll be availing it in the next year. So I'll report it in my 8C. So my total credit is reported in table 8 as 8B and 8C. But how do I match with the books of accounts? I should also see if I have availed the credit in same year, that is my table 8B is matched with table 6. And if I have availed in the next year, I will report it in my 8C, which I'll match with my table 13. All right. So if I have reversed it in the same year, I'll be reporting it in my table 7. If I reverse it in next year, I'll be reporting it in my table 12. This is on the reporting of it. So you also have a matching with GSTR-3B. In 3B, I avail 4A1 import of goods, 4A2 import of services, 4A3 RCM credit, 4A4 ISD credit, 4A5 all other ITC. I have given the corresponding link where in my GSTR-3B I am mapping this. I have given all the information. The only correction that you can take, see in GSTR-9 you cannot take a new credit, nor you can reverse a credit, right? GSTR-9 is a statement of fact. You cannot say after you file your R9, neither your electronic liability ledger balance will go up, neither it will come down, nor cash balance will go up or come down. Credit ledger, nothing is going to happen after you file your R9. So whatever you have to do through DRC03 and you have to report here. R9 is like for your information, right? So if I have, let's say, imported the goods during the year, ideally I should have reported my import of the goods in 4A1. My import of goods I should be reporting here in 4A1. But by mistake, the SSC has reported, instead of reporting in 4A1, he has reported in 4A5. That doesn't mean when it comes to GSTR9, I'll be reporting it in my 6B. I will take that value and report it in my 6E. Since it is an import of goods, I am doing a reclassification. So that means after doing the reclassification, whatever is the final total credit that I have availed, I will ensure that the credit matches. I'll ensure the credit matches, but I can do reclassification of the credit. I can do a reclassification of the credit. So my 4C, which is the net credit of GSTR-3B, is 6I minus 7I. Other way saying 7J is the check you need to do. These are all checks that are available. So before I hand it over to Bharti, there are people in the last session, people asked some questions about ITC. How do I validate? Please note when you are freezing the ITC, download all your expenditures from the books of accounts. If you have Tally as the books of accounts, GSTZen has a beautiful analysis where it will analyze the expenditure and says how much vouchers are with GST and without GST. It will give you a file which will be equivalent to table 14 of GSTR9C. Do this analysis. And wherever ITC is there, it is eligible check that is used for the purpose of business. If it is an eligible credit, why? It could be on account of exempt supply, it could be personal use, or it is a blocked credit. What is a blocked credit? The blocked credit is the credit that you are not eligible to take. till when you can take the credit? By till 30th November. So the actions that you have to take is match it with the portal. If it is appearing both in the books and portal, no issue. If it is appearing only in the books, not in the portal, it is likely the department will disallow. Good news, we have a recent circular 183, which is giving you only for the first 2 periods as of now, a beneficial thing that, okay, I will be matching with the CS certificate and basis a limit, there is a credit that is given. And if it is there only in the portal and not in the books, maybe you have to see how you have done the accounting. This reconciliation of books versus 2A is again available in GSTZen. Before you file, you can do the reconciliation. We all know the credit what I have to take every month is whatever which is there in my 2B should be the credit that should be going to 3B. Whatever which is there in my books of account or otherwise we calling as PR purchase register should always match with the expenditure for that period, which is GSTR2A. So you got to do this matching. However, this matching has been made mandatory only from 1st January 22. Prior to January 22, we had a rule which is allowing additional 5% of the ITC. That means my books of accounts was 100. In my GSTR 3B, can I take 100? The answer was given as look at GSTR 2B. If in GSTR 2B only 90 is there, this is 90 plus 5%, which is 4 rupee 50 paise. You can avail 94 rupee 50 paise only. Yeah. So any missed out credit, you got to avail it by 30th November. And any credit doesn't belong to you, you should reverse. Could be ineligible credit, or you have not paid the vendor, or it is partly used for taxable and exempt supplies. Ineligible and blocked credit, we all know 17 subsection 5 deals with it, like a motor car, food, in case of employee food, and staff welfare expenses, insurance, all these are blocked credit. Even if you are constructing a factory building, these are all blocked credit. You're not supposed to take the credit of it. Rule 37 says within 180 days, make the payment. If you don't make the payment, reverse it. Finally, reconcile the credit with what is there in the books of accounts and what is there in the 3B. Once this is done, the purchase related ITC you have frozen. You also have to freeze the RCM related ITC. When we say RCM, it's those expenditure which is there in the books without ITC. That means the supplier did not charge invoice. So we have 2 levels, now notified purchases under 9.3, and in terms of construction industry, there is URD purchases. Only a works contractor, URD purchases, RCM is applicable. I have listed the RCM entries because this is what the common people always ask. What is the RCM, and people always miss. All the things which is there on the screen are RCM applicable, but what I have highlighted in the blue color is most commonly applicable to almost all who are attending the session today. People always know when we say RCM, they only talk about GTA and the legal. People always say GTA and the legal, but time to time there are many entries that have come. If you have sponsored, let's say today's event is sponsored by one of you, you are taking care of the hosting charges and other related expenditure. This is also an RCM, right? If you are taking any registrations, licenses from the government is not going to charge GST. You pay it under reverse charge. Director sitting fees, hiring a security guard, renting of motor vehicles, recent entry, renting of immobile property, like office rent that you pay. All these are under RCM. The RCM is a revenue neutral. Honestly, it is a revenue neutral. You do not have an impact. But if you don't pay now, 2 years later, department audit finds it, then they say you pay the tax now, but you do not get any input tax credit, right? So this is on the RCM related. So moving on the last part, which is table 8, that is a reconciliation between 2A and the books of accounts. What we do is 3B versus 2A. Here it is 2A versus 3B. So government wants to know if there are some 100 line items. Like if I have some line items, how much of these line items you have reported in 3B, how many you have not reported in 3B. If you have reported in 3B, whether eligible or ineligible, it doesn't matter. If you have reported in this year, you take it to 8B. If you have reported in next year, take it to 8C. If you have not reported it, then take why you have not reported, ineligible or you missed out, take it to 80 and 8F. You may ask a question that I don't even have a credit in 2A, but I have already reported. What will happen? Then your 8D will become negative. 8D negative indicates that you have availed credits more than what you are eligible for. So this is an important table one should be very much aware of. So let me summarize all the discussion. What you will be reporting in GSTR9 is the turnover on which the tax has been paid. If you have paid the taxes in 3B till March, you will take it to table 4. If you have paid the tax till November of next year, you will be taking to table 10 and 11. If you are identifying some tax now and paying now through DRC03, you will be reporting into table 4. Reporting into a right tables is very important. Please take an assistant of a chartered accountant before you file so that you do a correct reporting. Wrong reporting will attract a penalty as good as up to 25,000 rupees. More than that, interest. More than that, you cannot correct. Under GST, once a return is filed, it can never be corrected. And what do I check? Check all these tables, table 4, 10, 11 before you file it, because this is what the taxable turnover related tables are. If there is any liability that is missed out, you can pay it through DRC03. It could be short payment of taxes, excess ITC or ineligible ITC availed, paid through DRC03 that is permitted. Final turnover is table 4 plus 10 minus 11. Tax payable is in table 9 column 2 and the taxes paid is in table 9 and table 14. So the last table you should be careful in reporting. Today many people have a challenge before they file GSTR9 is table 17, which is outward HSN summary. It has been made mandatory if your turnover is more than 5 crores, up to 6 digits HSN you have to report. If the turnover is up to 5 crores, you have to report 4-digit HSN. What are the values I should consider? The values that I've reported in table 4, 5, 10, and 11. The points you will not consider for the table 17 outward supplies, RCM, advances, and non-GST. These are the values that you would be excluding for reporting into table 17. So friends, with this, I have come to end of my presentation. This one, yeah, this is okay. And let us move on to see a demo of how all this, whatever I have said, or how to file it, how GSTZen can assist in filing of this. So I'll hand over the session to Bharti. After she completes the demo, all your questions with regards to any of the tables, reporting, how to reporting, I'll be taking, we can have it interacting, we can have it one-on-one. But let's look at the way in which everything that I have explained, how we can do the presentation, how we can generate all this information through GSTZen. Bharti?
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Bharti from GSTZen. So now I'll be showing you the demo of the software, how to go about filing GSTR9 and 9C, and how easy it is, what kind of facilities GSTZen is providing to make your life easier. Okay, so once you sign up, you create an account on GSTZen. This is what your dashboard would look like. You can add your GST numbers over here. So you can add a GST number, any GST number that you require, and start taking the services, enjoying the facilities. So all the GST numbers that I add will be shown on my dashboard. Okay, so after adding it, to perform any function for a GST number, I have to select that GST number. So I'll be showing this GSTR9 demo through this GST number. Plus you have various facilities. You have this function called Autopilot, which you can use to perform a single function for multiple GST numbers at a time instead of opening each GST number in a separate window and performing the tedious task again and again. So you can select multiple GST numbers and perform the same function for at one time instead of giving multiple commands. So once you open the GST number, this will be the quick actions menu where you can find all the functions. You can download various reports. You have your GSTR1, 2A, 2B, 3B. You can get a comparison report wherein a comparison between GSTR1, 2A, and 3B is given, as well as comparison of these returns with the books of accounts. Then if you are looking for reconciliation reports, you have purchase register with 2A, purchase register with GSTR 2B, then you have sales register and GSTR1, as well as comparison with e-invoices. Now moving on to filing of GST returns. So GSTR1, 3B, 9 and 9C are available here. Going on to GSTR9, you select the financial year. So you log in with OTP. Okay, so this is taking a little bit of time. In the meantime, let me show you other services. Okay, so as I was talking about
Bharti, what is the
GSTR,
issue? Bharti,
it is timing out. Just a moment.
okay.
Small issue. Okay, so I was talking about this feature, Autopilot. So let's say I want to download the government portal data for various registrations. So I can select download data from the government portal and then choose how do I want to log in. I can log in with OTP or username password. Select the information I want to download. If I want to download 2B, the financial year, and select the GST numbers in my account for which I want to download. So I've selected 5 and then I click on start. So once you give the username password, they can be saved in your browser, and the next time you'd only have to enter the captcha and log in. So once you log in, all the downloads will start automatically. Okay, so this is now loaded. I will request for the OTP.
Also, members, the right way of fetching any data from the government portal is only through OTP, wherein you are authenticating that you are a genuine user. And OTP, once you raise a request, the OTP goes to the authorized person and they have to enter the details. So in the current case, the OTP is Bharti, you can 087042. This is the OTP.
08074.
No, 7042. 7042. No, there is no 0. 087042.
Okay.
Yeah. So what is that now going to happen once you log in with the OTP is on the screen you can see download the GSTR9 to 21-22 returns, 22-23 returns. So there's a lot of information. If you remember the PPT which I have shared, there's a lot of information that is required to be churned for filing GSTR9. If I have to manually click and from the government portal, each button will actually, every time I click, it will say wait for 15 minutes. So every month I do every month I do 3B, 2A, 2B, all those things, multiple files consolidating, all that is going to happen in one click. Bharti, can you show that?
Yeah, so as Venu sir has mentioned, multiple information is required. So if you want to download the data, you can select this and you can select all the information that you want to download at one go. You can download the information at one go for the whole financial year. Okay.
So all
So
this
I
on
just,
the right corner, I just select all. What am I selecting? GSTR9, GSTR9 table 8A. I just scroll down GSTR1, B2B, B2C, all the invoices. And it's saying they have made a request 2 to 3 minutes, the information will come. GSTR3B, 2A, 2B, all this information it will be downloading from the government portal, and very beautifully it will happen in the backend. In the background, the GSTZen portal, it will fetch all the information in the background. What are all the information that we need? Information number one is, can you just go to that slide, the previous tab? We need to download GSTR9 of 2021, then 22, 23 data also. Maybe that also you can just click.
yeah. So you usually tend to report. You may not be able to report all the data till March return. So the time till which you can report is usually September.
September,
It was
October,
now,
November, yeah.
yeah, it was now this year it was extended. So we recommend that you download all the data of the next financial year up till the return, where you're allowed to submit the details of the previous financial year for it to integrate in our consolidated report that we provide for the purpose of filing GSTR9. So we provide a consolidated report wherein we compare various returns amongst themselves, and we also compare them to the books.
And you
So
can see
in
on the
order
left
to get
side,
an act, yeah, please go on, sir.
on the left side, you can see in the backend, it is just downloading and automatically updating. Continue, but
Yes. So once all of this information is downloaded, so we go back here, this file will get created based on the data of 2021 and 2022. It will also take into consideration any amendments that have been filed during the same period, or maybe the next financial year, or any data reported of 21-22 in 22-23. So I'll just show you this report, what it looks like. So all the information has been downloaded. So this is your report, GSTR1 versus 2A versus 3B. Or if you want the 2A to be replaced by 2B, you can download this report. Plus you have the summary of GSTR9. So I'm downloading this report here. Yeah, so as I had mentioned, it will show you all the details of the filed returns, that is your GSTR1 and 3B. Then you have comparison between GSTR1 and 3B, GSTR1 and books, GSTR2A with GSTR3B. You have GSTR3B comparison with books. So all of it you'll get under the same report. Just a moment, please.
Bharti, you have to exit from this file. You just escape, then that file will open.
Okay.
Just give escape. You have inside the thing, that is why it is not showing up. Now it will open up. Yeah.
Yes. Okay, so the file has opened. So as you can see, the first sheet is giving the information of what all information is available in this Excel file. So you have GSTR1 summary, 3B summary, 9 summary calculated based on your filed returns, GSTR3B consolidated books versus 3B, 1 versus 3B. Let's go through these. So GSTR1 as calculated by the government portal. So this is as per the filing period. But for filing GSTR9, you should consider the summary calculated by GSTZen, because this is based on invoice date, and you might have reported the invoices in the next financial year as well. So GSTZen is providing you that information. Then you have GSTR3B filed and segregated between various tables, and the total figures at the end. You have GSTR1 summary calculated for the whole year. Similarly, 3B, you have comparison of GSTR2A and 3B. What is the ITC available as per GSTR2A for that month, and what is the amount that you have claimed. So you can see where the discrepancy has come and find out the cause. Then you have, if you upload the books into GSTZen, we also perform the comparison between books and GSTR3B. So you have 1 versus 3B as well. So GSTR9 summary calculated based on your filed returns. This will help you in filing your GSTR9. So in sales overview, we are giving you various comparisons in a single place which pertain to sales. So you have books versus GSTR1, you have books versus GSTR3B, and GSTR1 versus 3B. Similarly, you have a purchase overview sheet. And then if you want to go by customer, you want to see their balances, you can go to GSTR1 by customer, and you have GSTR2A by vendor. We also provide the HSN summary as well. So when you are uploading the HSN summary, you can directly take the data from here and upload. Now moving back, so the other reports which are required here, you also have this report called GSTR2A versus GSTR9 table 8A report. So all of the entries which are available in GSTR2B might not be eligible for ITC. So this report gives a comparison of what the portal has computed your ITC for the year and what has come in your 2A. So if there is a difference between the two, here you have a reconciliation and you'll be able to find out the reason for that difference in this Excel. So here you have ITC as per GSTR2A. Then you have ITC in GSTR2A, but not in GSTR9, table 8A. Ineligible ITC as per GSTR9 and eligible as per GSTR9. So if you go to this sheet, you'll be able to see match status. If it is available in both, that means it is eligible. And if it is not available, you'll be able to find out which are not available in both. Okay, there are no entries here, but you will have cases where it is only available in 2A. Sometimes the place of supply might not be the same, due to which ITC is not available, or you have reported the ITC, the invoice has been reported very late, beyond the period which the government has allowed for it to be reported, then you cannot claim it. So it will not be in GSTR9 table 8A. So this report is also very helpful. You can download your auto calculated GSTR9 from the portal and use this to fill your GSTR9. So this is calculated by Zen, calculated by the government portal. And then you go on this option fill. You can directly take the data provided by the government portal and use this to file, or you can use the data calculated by GSTZen based on your returns and the data you have uploaded. And the third option is to enter the values yourself. So you can enter the values yourself here, provide your sales, your purchases, your turnover, everything, and save your form. So another helpful feature which GSTZen provides is it allows you to upload the HSN summary through an Excel. If you are doing it through portal, you have to enter give the entries manually. Here you can upload everything in one shot. So you upload it here, and then you can also validate your GSTR9 for consistency. Okay, so it performs a series of checks. It gives you which information is matching and which is not, which validation is failing here. So liability declared in GSTR9 table 4 and tax payable declared in GSTR9, they should be equal, but in this case they are not. So this, it is saying that this check has failed. So there are other checks available here as well, which your GSTR9 may or may not pass. So this does not disallow you to file the GSTR9, but it gives you a report. It gives you a check. So you can check, go back and check your information so that you do not make a mistake while filing GSTR9. So once you are satisfied, you can upload the return to the government portal, download the summary to make sure what is there in the GST portal is correct, and then submit your return. You can file from here as well. So this is a very simple process, no complicated steps involved in here for filing your GSTR9. Now moving on to GSTR9C. This should hardly take you 10 to 15 minutes for filing GSTR9C. So what you do here is you download the filed GSTR9. So if it is filed, it will come here. If it is not filed, you will not be able to download. Okay, so now it is filed. Based on this, I click on modify. You can also upload a JSON that you have prepared for 9C and use it to file GSTR9C. So if you go by GSTR9, so it will auto populate the details that you have given in GSTR9, and you can use this to go ahead and file 9C. So Venu, as Venu sir had said, GSTR9 means what is, and GSTR9C is what it should be. So ideally they should be the same, but in some cases it might not be. If it is the same, we would recommend that you go with data filled in GSTR9 and go ahead and save your form. If there's a discrepancy, there's a difference, you go to values entered by you and you can provide the values that you want here and then save the form. Once you have saved it, you go back, provide other details, that is your balance sheet, profit and loss statements, and any other supporting documents that you want. Upload them here. In step 4, you upload the documents that you have given in step 3. In GSTZen, you have given your balance sheet and profit and loss statements. Step 4 uploads this to the government portal. Step 5 will upload your return, that is this information that you have provided in step 2, you will upload from step 5. So once it is uploaded, you can get the summary to make sure that the data is correct, and then you can proceed to file and return. Proceed to file the return. So this completes the demo of filing GSTR9 and 9C through GSTZen. So please let us know if you have any questions in this process or anything in regards to GSTR9.
So I would say the filing process is this simple. If someone wants to file GSTR9 through GSTZen, the filing process is, that's it. You don't need to, there are a lot of people who have yet to file. maybe the data which you have prepared, you can just get into GSTZen, revalidate it. In fact, the best thing which in GSTZen will also offer you is all the data before it files, there is a validation step. There are a lot of steps that have been given. It will try to validate basis that. And that is why there are many people who file through GSTZen. You would have noticed that we, like Bharti, did not even visit to the government portal, GSTN portal. All the steps have been completed on the go at that, right? So with this, we have come to end of our session. And whenever you want to reach us, here are the numbers. You can always subscribe. If you have a demo, you want to get to know more, you can write to us. You can book on a demo on the website. Yeah, we are always available to support you. If you have any technical questions, you can always reach to me. This is my email ID. So let me take up the questions that people have, which are there in the chat. And if any of the question I missed it, I would request you to put it again. Again, one more question from Ramkishan, which is 8A is excluding RCM, but 3B is including RCM. So difference is coming out. How can I match it? Ramkrishna, 8A is excluding RCM, while 3B, it is going to match only 4A5. You will be reporting your RCM in 6C and 6D. But what is matched with 8A is 6B, which is other than RCM. So you will not find any difference. Deepthi is asking a question. SSC had to file nil return, nil rate supply in 3B, but avail ITC did not utilize due to uncertainty about the tax liability. But in books claimed as an expenditure, where to show in GSTR9? Deepthi, as I said, GSTR9 is a statement of fact. Since you have availed the ITC, it is there in table 6 and your electronic credit ledger. So you will be reporting it in 6B and it will automatically add it to 7J. Question by Ramkishan. ITC claimed in 22-23 need to show in table 8, that is table 8C and 13 as well. Do we need to report the 2021 ITC claimed in 2022? Yes, even that would be coming. There are two ways of reporting. One way you can report it into 6M other ITC, or if it is part of 6B, then your 8C, the opening balance will be negative. Both ways are okay till the department gives a clarification. Rajesh is asking 1st Jan 22 IT is relating to December 21. 36 sub-rule 4 written filed through 3B21. Should it be, so should it 100% match, or do I have a leeway of 5%? Rajesh, according to me, it is effective returns filed after 1st Jan, so it should be matching with 2B. Another question from Rajesh is RCM on TDR, which is the construction industry for 19. Commercial based, an amount received in cash paid in December. Then the credit will be allowed since the payment after notice from department about confirmation of payment under GST. Okay, all the time trying to tell everyone RCM is revenue neutral. If you're paying in the same year and claiming, you can get the credit. If you're doing much later, so 2019 credit you are paying in 22, you are not going to get the credit of it. Then Shankar is having question, GSTR9, I'm getting a negative figure due to ITC reflected in 8B is not corresponding purchase return. How should I report and explain in 9C? Yeah, Shankar, when you are availing a credit which is not there in 2A, your 8D will be negative, but you don't need to worry about that in 8C. Price of software, yeah, I think the pricing is just upfront on the website. Paresh, you can look at it. AM Rao, I have exempt sales more than 2 crores. Do I need to file R9? Need to file no input ITC? Yes, sir. Even though you have exempted turnover, you have to file R9 because the turnover is all turnover including. Veerabahu is asking how to report opening ITC. There are two ways of reporting. You can report it in 6B and a negative figure of 8C, or report it in 6M. Both the reporting are permitted. With this, we have answered all the questions. If there are any questions, participants, you can unmute yourself, and Vatsa, if there are any questions in the YouTube chat, you can also post it here.
Okay, sir, but there are no questions on YouTube.
Perfect. Yeah, anyone would like to unmute yourself and ask a question? All right. So with this, we have come to the end of today's webinar, and I thank each of the participants for taking your time out, attending, and understanding how to simplify the filing process of R9 using GSTZen. You'll be getting the recorded version of this session and the presentation, so for your future reference. And any doubts, feel free to get in touch with us, and Bharti will be explaining you how you will be able to file GSTR9, and she is the one behind the putting up this presentation. So thank you, Bharti, and thank you, Vatsa, for coordinating everyone, and thank you, Manisha. With this, we can conclude the session.
Thank you, sir.